My family skipped my promotion dinner to celebrate my brother's new car, so I shut down their lives. There were 6 chairs at the table. One for me, one for my mom, one for my dad, one for my sister, Olivia, one for my brother, Ryan. One left open, just in case my Uncle Frank showed up. Only one of them was ever used. Mine. It was supposed to be a family celebration. I had just gotten the biggest promotion of my life, associate partner at the firm. After 9 years of grinding, 80-hour weeks, and never saying no to overtime, I finally got the seat at the table. So I booked one. At the Monarch Grill, downtown Nashville. Fancy place. Steakhouse vibe. Polished wood and overpriced cocktails. I made a reservation for 6. Paid the deposit. Sent the text invites a week ahead. Mom said, "Proud of you, sweetheart. We'll be there." Dad, "It's about time they saw your value." Even Ryan responded, "Free dinner? I'm in." I should have known better. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. I showed up early. Wore the blazer Mom bought me for college graduation. Sat down at 6:45. By 7:10, I'd already finished 2 glasses of water and sent 3 just checking in. Texts. Nothing. At 7:30, I asked the waiter to give it a little more time. By 8 o'clock, I ordered alone. Steak. Medium rare. Truffle mac. Glass of Cabernet. Celebrating solo felt like performing a eulogy at your own funeral. At 8:47 p.m., I paid the check. $1,620. No discounts. No family toast. No, "We're proud of you, Daniel." Just the waiter's quiet pity as he boxed up 5 untouched bread rolls. I tipped 40%. Smiled like I wasn't dying inside. Walked out of the restaurant like a man who just got ghosted by his own blood. I figured something had happened. Emergency, maybe. Family drama. Flat tire. Bad timing. Then I opened Instagram. Ryan had posted a story. He and Olivia were standing in the driveway at Mom and Dad's house, holding a giant red ribbon in front of a new Dodge Charger. Dad was beaming. Mom had champagne. Uncle Frank was in the corner grilling burgers. The caption said, "Couldn't miss celebrating this beast. Welcome home, baby." 54 minutes ago. While I was waiting. While I was texting. While I was sitting at a 6-top table getting side-eyed by rich couples celebrating anniversaries. They were popping bottles for Ryan's new car. At 10:02 p.m., I got a text from Mom. "Hey, sweetie. Something came up. We'll celebrate another time." Something came up. Something came up. Like my promotion was a dentist appointment they forgot to cancel. I stared at that message for 10 minutes. Then opened the Chase app. I had access to 5 cards, all in my name, for my parents and siblings. Why? Because I've been their silent backup for years. Olivia's groceries when she fell short? Me. Ryan's car insurance when he forgot to pay again? Me. Mom's Target card when she needed to just get a few things? Also me. Even Dad's gas card, linked to my account. They didn't say thank you anymore. They just used it. So I opened the cards. One by one. Freeze. 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 All of them. Then I logged into Venmo. Canceled the auto rent transfer I had set up for Olivia since her divorce. Removed myself from Dad's Apple family plan. Revoked shared access to the Amazon Prime I was paying for. Then I wrote a message. Not a rant. Not a novel. Just one line. Send it to our family group chat. The table sat 6. Only one of us showed up. Don't worry, I'll never make that mistake again. Then I muted the chat. By morning, I had 54 missed calls. Mom, Dad, Olivia, Ryan, even Uncle Frank, who hadn't said 2 words to me since Christmas, left a voicemail. "Dan, come on. That car's a big deal for your brother. You could have joined us. We figured you'd understand." Understand? I was eating steak alone at a table I paid for. And they figured I'd understand. Then came the guilt texts. "Mom, you're being dramatic." Olivia, "It wasn't personal. You know how Dad is about family events." Dad, "We didn't think it'd be a big deal. You're not a kid." Ryan, "You really froze my card, bro. I got gas this morning and it declined. No apologies. Just confusion, defensiveness, and entitlement. The whole family operated like my support was their birthright, not a choice. So I made another choice. I printed out the Monarch receipt, taped it to a blank card, wrote one sentence. Next time, pick up your own tab. Dropped it in their mailbox at 5 a.m. By the next night, I was getting messages from extended family. Aunt Carla, Cousin James, even Grandma's nurse. All with the same vibe. Your mom is worried. She says you're angry over something small. Small. My promotion was small. But Ryan's car was a family milestone. Okay. I didn't respond. I just packed a bag, booked a hotel in Austin for the weekend, sat in a rooftop bar with people who didn't know my name, and felt more seen than I ever had at my own family table. That's when I made a list, not of who I was cutting off, but of what I was taking back. My money, my time, my presence, and most importantly, my silence. Because they thought I'd never say anything, never react, just keep swiping cards and swallowing disrespect. They forgot one thing. I wasn't the scared, quiet son anymore. I was Daniel Cole, associate partner, full-time adult, and finally done begging for a seat at a table I paid for. I didn't answer a single call. Not one. Not from Mom, not Dad, not Olivia, not Ryan. Not even the weird no-caller ID. One I knew was Uncle Frank. Using a burner phone like this was some kind of spy thriller. I turned off notifications. Let my phone collect their desperation like dust on a windowsill. First it was confusion, then denial, then the campaign. The first strike? Facebook. Mom posted a photo of Ryan's new car again, but this time with a full paragraph. So proud of our son for working so hard and finally getting his dream car. Family milestones like these mean everything. Not everyone will understand, but those who matter always show up. Right. Because I didn't show up. For his car. Meanwhile, I've been sitting at a $1,620 table I paid for, in the clothes she once called my big day outfit. But sure, Mom. Let's gaslight the algorithm. Next came Olivia's Instagram story. Picture of her walking her dog. Text over it said, "Some people cut you off when they're the ones who stopped showing up. You want to talk about showing up? Liv? You were 3 miles away that night. You posted a boomerang of your wine glass 30 minutes after I ordered my steak. You heart-reacted to Ryan's car video. But my promotion? Didn't even text me. They weren't trying to fix things. They were trying to rewrite the story before I had a chance to tell mine. But here's the thing. I had receipts. Old screenshots. Cash App transfers. Venmo logs. Amazon orders. Text from Dad like, "Can you just cover the bill and I'll sort you out next month?" That month never came. Never does. There was one from Olivia last December. Need $300 for rent. Promise I'll pay you by New Year's. She spent New Year's Eve in Miami. I saw it on her feed. Tagged in a club with bottle service. And guess who picked up her rent? Me. So I compiled it all. Created a Google document, titled it, "The tab you forgot I kept, I didn't send it." Not yet. I wanted them to feel the silence first. Let them stew in the confusion. Talk to each other in circles. Come up with wild explanations. Spoiler. They did. Uncle Frank texted me from his own number this time. "Son, you've made your point. Time to come back to the table." "You mean the table you never showed up at?" "No thanks." Then came the whisper campaign. I heard through a mutual friend, Lacey, who's in my fantasy football league, that my dad had told his coworkers I was going through something. What does that even mean? Like I had a meltdown over nothing? Lacey said, "He made it sound like you were having some kind of breakdown." And that's when it hit me. They weren't just rewriting the story. They were framing me as unstable. Because that's easier than admitting they were wrong. I didn't rage. Didn't lash out. I wrote one line in my notebook. They'll choose the version of you that makes them feel innocent. So I let them. For now. But Ryan? Ryan was cracking. I got a notification 2 days later from the bank. He tried to use his frozen card at a gas station. Then again at a liquor store. Then again for Uber Eats. 3 declines. 1 fraud alert. Then a text, "Bro. Come on. Enough games. I need gas money." No, sorry. No, congrats on the promotion. Just I need. Always I need. Then I got the group chat text from Olivia. She'd finally snapped. "You're tearing this family apart over a dinner, Daniel. Grow up." I sat in my apartment, lights low, laptop open. Looked at my bank account. Looked at the old messages. The payments. The screenshots. The silence. Then I replied, "It was never just dinner. It was the sum total of every moment you decided I didn't matter unless I was paying for something." And then I left the group chat. By day 6, my mom caved. She called from her office. I know because I could hear her fake soft voice, the one she uses with clients. "Daniel, I know you're upset. I get it. I do. But this is not the way to handle family. Not everything needs to be so extreme." "You mean like being abandoned at your own celebration dinner? Or like freezing 5 family credit cards I pay for? Because only one of those is extreme." I didn't say any of that. I just hung up. Day 7, a letter came in the mail. Yes, a letter. Typed. Signed, "Love, Mom." Inside, a 2-page essay about forgiveness. Quotes from the Bible. Mentions of seasons of hurt. Lines like, "You were always the quiet one. Always so responsible. We miss our boy. No apology." No acknowledgement. Just manipulation dressed in Hallmark language. I folded the letter, lit a match, watched it curl in the sink, and for the first time in my life, I felt nothing. Not guilt, not anger, not the ache to fix it, just stillness. Then I got the final push I didn't know I needed. A message request on Instagram from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Corey, my college roommate. Bro, random, but I saw your family dragging you on Facebook. That's some grade A dysfunction. Just wanted to say, you deserved better. And just like that, I remembered who I was before they made me forget. So I opened my files, built the final document, an itemized timeline of everything I paid, covered, forgave, and funded. Called it Exhibit A, when silence wasn't free. And I printed 6 copies, slipped them into envelopes, wrote each name in thick black marker, then taped a sticky note to each, open together. Because if they're going to lie together, they're going to read the truth together. They opened the envelopes on a Sunday. I know, because Olivia texted me Saturday night. Got something from you. Should we wait? I didn't respond, but she knew. They all did. Sunday, 2:03 p.m. I got the first call, Mom. Declined. 2:06, Ryan. 2:10, Dad. I let every one of them go to voicemail, because I already knew what they found. Inside those envelopes was no attack. No screaming. No name calling. Just 5 pages of raw numbers. Receipts. Transfers. Screenshots. Timestamps. And one final line. This isn't revenge. This is the invoice for your silence. $68,450. That's what I'd paid for them over the last 8 years. In car repairs, rent bailouts, medical deductibles, surprise birthday parties I wasn't invited to, holiday plane tickets I never boarded. Every time they said, "Can you help just this once?" I had. And every time, I had absorbed the cost, so they could keep pretending we were close. Now, they couldn't pretend anymore. At 2:22, the family group chat came back to life. Ryan first. Dude, what the F*** is this? You're really tracking everything? Olivia jumped in. So what? You're keeping score now? That's sick. Dad, I don't even remember half of this. You're clearly unwell. And then silence. Until 2:43. Mom wrote, we didn't raise you to weaponize generosity. You're not the person we thought you were. Funny thing is, I've never been more myself than I am now. At 4:01, Uncle Frank called. I picked up. Just once. You okay, kid? Better than I've been in a long time. They're flipping out. I know. It's about damn time. Turns out, Uncle Frank had watched them leech off me for years. He just didn't know the numbers. Now that he did, he had no sympathy left. By Monday, the posts started disappearing. Mom's Facebook rant? Deleted. Olivia's guilt quotes? Gone. Even Ryan scrubbed his IG stories. Because now people were asking questions. Their circle was starting to turn. And me? I just went to work. Same office. Same desk. Same coffee cup. Except this time, when I opened my inbox and saw another family emergency email from Dad asking for clarification. I hit archive. Then I smiled. Tuesday morning, my HR manager called me in. She said, we received a strange email. It was from my father. He had emailed the firm, suggesting I was mentally unstable and asking for intervention before something bad happened. I laughed out loud in her office. HR didn't find it funny. They were concerned. Until I pulled out the document, the same one I sent the family. I laid it on her desk. She read the first 2 pages, looked at me, and said, okay. So this is retaliation. Exactly. She filed a formal report and flagged the email. Then looked at me one more time. Whatever your family's trying to do, don't let them pull you down. You're clean. Clear. That night, I went home and poured a glass of whiskey. The good stuff. No more saving it for birthdays they wouldn't show up to. I opened my laptop. Wrote one more line in my Google Doc. They opened it. It opened them. Then Olivia called again. Left a voicemail this time. Daniel, if you wanted us to say thank you, fine. Thank you. But this is cruel. I played it back twice. Then saved it. Because this wasn't cruelty. This was accountability. And she didn't recognize it, because she'd never had to face it before. Wednesday morning, the final blow came. A Venmo request. From Mom. $1,620, labeled, your dinner. Your choice. No message. No emoji. No joke. Just a cold demand. I declined it. Then sent $1 back with the caption, keep the change. You'll need it. Then I blocked her. By Friday, Uncle Frank called again. You broke the family open. They broke it. I just lit the match. You done? Not yet. Because I had one more step. I booked a hotel room. Same one I used the weekend I left after the dinner. I reserved the private room downstairs. 6 seats. Same layout. Same empty chairs. Except this time, I placed a photo at every seat. One of Mom on vacation I paid for. One of Dad at the dentist I covered. One of Olivia in Miami. One of Ryan with his new car. One of Uncle Frank, because I owed him something. And mine? I left blank. Then I snapped a picture. Posted it to my private page. Captioned, "The Last Supper." But this time, I brought the truth. She asked to meet in person. Text came in on a Wednesday. "Daniel, please. Just one conversation. No one else. I swear." Thursday. Centennial Park. 4 p.m. No pleading. No dramatics. Just a short message that carried weight. I almost said no. Almost blocked her again. But some part of me, not for closure, not for comfort, but for confirmation, wanted to see it. The moment the mask falls. It was sunny. Too sunny for this kind of confrontation. The kind of light that makes everything feel false. I got there at 3:55. Sat on the bench near the fountain. The one I used to play near when I was 5. When she used to smile like I was her entire world. That version of her was gone. If it ever existed. She showed up right on time. Hair done. Makeup on. Wearing a cardigan that made her look smaller than she was. She sat without asking. Didn't hug me. Didn't smile. Just said, "You've made your point." I stayed silent. Let her talk. "You embarrassed us. You know that, right?" I didn't flinch. "You made your father look like a user. He's a user. You hurt Olivia. She hurt herself. Ryan's been having panic attacks. He should try paying his own rent." She finally exhaled. Then said it. The thing I was waiting for. "Why are you doing this?" And I looked at her, really looked at her, and said, "Because you taught me that family shows up. You just didn't think I'd show up for myself." She blinked. Like the sentence physically knocked her off balance. "I gave you everything." "No. I gave you everything. You just took it like it was owed." She started to speak again, but I raised a hand. "Do you remember my 30th? She looked confused. Paused. "We got Ryan the charger that day." "No. You chose Ryan over me that day." I told her about the table. The empty chairs. The $1,620 bill. The waiter who kept looking at the door like maybe someone would show up. She looked down. Silent. "You know what it feels like to sit alone at your own celebration?" Still silent. "To get texts like 'we'll celebrate another time' while watching your family toast someone else on Instagram?" Still nothing. "You raised me to believe I needed to earn love. That if I just helped more, paid more, smiled more, I'd finally be enough." I leaned in slightly. "I was enough. You just didn't care." She finally looked up. Eyes glassy, but no tears. I'd seen real tears from her. These weren't it. These were strategic. "We're your family." "No. You're people I was assigned to. There's a difference." Then she tried the oldest card in the deck. "One day I won't be here anymore. Is this how you want to remember me?" I smiled, just a little. "I want to remember the truth. Not the version of you I paid for." That hit. Hard. Her shoulders sank. She looked older. Not physically. Spiritually. Like a woman who realized the ATM had walked away and taken her illusion of motherhood with it. She pulled something out of her bag. A folded piece of paper. "I wrote you a letter." "Another one?" "This one's different." I didn't take it. She held it out for a few seconds, then tucked it back in her purse. She stood up. "I hope you find peace." "I already did." She didn't reply. Just nodded. Turned. Walked away. Not fast. Not dramatic. Just small. I sat there for 10 minutes after. Not crying. Not shaking. Just breathing. For the first time in 32 years, I wasn't trying to fix her feelings. I wasn't trying to be the good son. I was just Daniel. I went home. Didn't talk about it. Didn't post about it. Didn't overthink it. I took a long shower. Ate takeout. Watched old reruns. And somewhere between 11:03 and 11:04, I realized I didn't feel guilty. Not even a little. That's when I knew it was done. Not the argument. Not the family. The cycle. The transaction. 3 days later, Olivia texted me again. "Mom said you were cold to her. That you broke her heart." I replied with 3 words. She broke mine first. Then blocked her again. For the last time. I didn't expect Frank to get involved. He's always been on the edge of family drama. Present, but not intrusive. The kind of guy who shows up to holidays, brings a decent pie, and leaves before the wine turns to yelling. But after the park meeting with Mom, something shifted. Maybe he saw her crumble. Maybe he saw how calm I stayed. Or maybe he finally had enough. It started with a call. Private number. I don't answer those anymore. Then a voicemail. "Daniel. It's Frank. We need to talk." I mean it. I met him at a diner off the highway. Neutral ground. He was already there, drinking black coffee, flipping through a yellow folder. Didn't even say hi. Just slid the folder across the table. Read it. Inside, copies. Receipts. Transfers. Statements. Almost identical to the breakdown I had made, but with his own notes scribbled along the margins. You kept your records, he said. So I kept mine. Turns out, Uncle Frank had been bailing out them, too. Quietly. Privately. When my parents ran out of me, they went to him. $9,000 loan to Dad after a gambling binge in 2021. $2,500 to Olivia for lawyer fees that turned out to be a spa retreat. $3,000 to Ryan for car repairs, while still making payments on a car I partially paid for. Frank wasn't angry. He was done. I told your father last year I'd never give him another dollar unless he paid me back. He never did. And then I saw that dinner photo, and the group chat messages Olivia sent, and I realized. I've been funding a family that doesn't even show up. I sat there stunned. Not just because Frank had his own ledger, but because he came prepared. I talked to your grandmother. She saw the screenshots. She knows they're lying. Wait, Grandma saw? I showed her. That shut me up. Grandma has always played Switzerland, the peacemaker. But Frank said she cried when she saw the receipts. Not for me. For herself. Because she realized her daughter, my mom, was using me the same way she'd once been used. Then Frank said something I'll never forget. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this because your silence made me feel ashamed. And I owe you better than that. He didn't ask for permission. He made moves. Within a week, he pulled strings with a tax consultant he knew, flagged multiple inconsistencies in my parents' reported incomes. He filed a quiet claim through probate to secure repayment on his loans. And then, he sent them a letter. Certified. Hand-signed. Attached were copies of my original breakdown and his. Titled, Joint Claims, Family Debt Settlement Notice. I didn't even know you could do that. Apparently, you can. If you have the documents, the proof, and the courage to say, I'm not covering for your mess anymore. Then came the meltdown. Texts, emails, even calls to my boss again. Only this time, Frank intercepted them. He called my mom directly. You taught Daniel to serve you. I taught him to stop. So don't call him, call me. She screamed. Frank hung up. 3 days later, I got a PayPal notification. $8,000 from a shared family account. Memo, partial repayment. More to come. Then another from Olivia, $1,500. Then Ryan, $700. One by one, they started bleeding cash. Why? Because Frank told them the truth. You either pay him, or I bring everything to court. And this time, I won't protect you. Olivia called me, crying. Said she was scared. Said she might lose her apartment. Said I was being cruel. I said, no. I'm just letting someone else say the things I was tired of repeating. Then I hung up. By the end of the month, $17,600 repaid. Not everything, but enough. Enough to put a down payment on a condo. Enough to leave Nashville for good. Enough to finally look at a bill and not wonder if I was being scammed by my own last name. Frank sent me one last message. The rest is on them. You're free now. Use it well. So I did. I moved. Signed a lease in Austin. Started over. No contact. No backup plans. No more accounts linked to people who only used me when it was convenient. I changed my number. Changed my emergency contacts. Changed the locks on my heart. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like someone's son. I felt like someone. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. No big announcement. No goodbye dinner. No teary-eyed road trip montage. I packed up my apartment on a Thursday morning, had the U-Haul filled by sunset, and by Friday afternoon, I was halfway to Austin, alone, windows down, music loud, and for the first time in years. Light. New apartment. New city. New rules. I paid my first month's rent in full, up front. Didn't co-sign anyone else's anything. Set up a bank account where only my name lived on the paperwork. It felt surgical, cutting away the infection. Work was different here. Nobody knew my family. No one asked about my brother, my sister, my tight-knit support system. Because here, I wasn't the responsible one. I wasn't the ATM. I wasn't the guy who paid for everything but still got left at the table alone. I was just Daniel. And it was enough. I got a dog. Her name's Lily. Rescue. Missing one ear. Sweet, but scrappy. We're a good match. I deleted the family group chat. Not just muted, erased. No backups. No archives. No emotional insurance policy just in case. That chapter's done. It took me 3 weeks before I stopped flinching when a no-caller ID popped up. A month before I stopped checking social media for their names. 2 months before I realized I hadn't said sorry to anyone out of habit. And at some point, maybe on a Tuesday, maybe a Sunday, the guilt stopped showing up too. I didn't go to Olivia's birthday. Didn't send a card for Father's Day. Didn't respond when Mom emailed on Thanksgiving with, "Hope you're well. You're missed." I archived it. And ate dinner with a neighbor who invited me over without expecting anything in return. Then, one random afternoon, it happened. I was at a local coffee shop. Laptop open. Working. Lily was tied outside the window, people watching like she owned the street. That's when I saw Ryan, my brother, walking past. Same walk. Same face. A little more tired. A little less smug. He didn't see me at first. Then he looked through the window. Froze. Locked eyes with me. Half a second of disbelief. Then a small wave. I nodded. Didn't smile. Didn't invite him in. Just nodded, once. And went back to typing. He stood there for a second longer. Then walked on. And I felt nothing. Not hate. Not rage. Not nostalgia. Just nothing. Later that night, I told a friend from work what happened. He asked, if he came in and said he was sorry, what would you have done? I said, nothing. Because forgiveness doesn't mean I owe anyone my peace. I earned this. And I had. I earned every breath that didn't feel heavy. Every morning I woke up without a text asking for money. Every coffee I bought for myself without doing mental math about whose groceries I'd need to cover that week. Every quiet night that didn't end in family drama blowing up my phone. I visited my old bank account once, the one still linked to all the old cards. Zero balance. All their names removed. It felt like looking at an obituary I'd written myself. And feeling relief. There's a quote I wrote on a sticky note above my new desk. You don't owe an apology for choosing to live without a fire in your chest. That's what family felt like for too long, fire. Now, I breathe air. I still have the receipt from that dinner. The $1,620 one. Folded in my journal. Not as proof. As a reminder. That day, I stopped buying love. And started feeding myself. Will I ever talk to them again? I don't know. But I know this. If they ever knock on my door, they'll be knocking on the house I built without them. And I won't owe them entry. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it too.